Emily moved with practiced grace between tables, her notepad in hand, taking orders and flashing warm smiles, despite the weight of exhaustion tugging at her every step. Her blonde hair was pulled back into a neat ponytail, stray strands sticking to her damp forehead as she hurriedly refilled coffee cups and balanced trays laden with breakfast platters. "Can I get you anything else?" she asked a table of regulars, her voice cheerful despite the fatigue evident in her eyes. They shook their heads, offering her appreciative smiles. As she turned to tend to another table, a subtle flutter of anticipation settled in her chest, a feeling she had long become accustomed to. It was the hope that today might bring something good, something unexpected. At the corner booth, a large man in a hoodie sat quietly, his face partially obscured by the brim of his baseball cap. Emily had noticed him earlier, but with the morning crowd demanding her attention, she hadn't had a chance to approach him yet. As she passed by, he waved her over and she felt a curious spark of excitement. "Hi there," she greeted him, her smile brightening. "What can I get for you today?" He ordered a simple breakfast, his voice deep and friendly. There was something familiar about him, though she couldn't quite place it. She scribbled down his order and hurried to the kitchen, her mind briefly lingering on the stranger. Moments later, she returned with his meal, setting it down in front of him. "Enjoy," she said, before moving on to the next table. Hours passed, the morning rush ebbing away into a more manageable pace. Emily took a moment to catch her breath. Leaning against the counter, she glanced around the diner. Her gaze landed on the corner booth, now empty. She walked over, intending to clear the table, when she noticed the tip left behind. Her breath caught in her throat as she saw the wad of cash, far more than she had ever received before. Her hands trembled as she picked it up, finding a note tucked beneath the bills. With tears brimming in her eyes, she read the words scrawled on the paper. "For your kindness and hard work. Keep pushing forward." Overwhelmed with gratitude and disbelief, Emily clutched the note to her chest, her heart swelling with emotion. The kindness of a stranger had transformed her day, offering a glimmer of hope in a world that often felt heavy with burdens. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm orange glow over the city, Emily finally returned to her small apartment. She unlocked the door quietly, hoping not to wake her mother who rested inside. The familiar scent of lavender, her mother's favorite, greeted her as she stepped in. The day's events replayed in her mind, the note and the generous tip still clutched tightly in her hand. She placed the money carefully on the kitchen counter, taking a moment to breathe and absorb the miracle that had found her. Emily's mother, Anne, had been a pillar of strength throughout her life. However, a chronic illness had rendered her bedridden, and Emily had taken on the dual role of caretaker and breadwinner. She walked into her mother's room, her heart softening at the sight of Anne peacefully asleep, her frail figure barely moving under the covers. "Hey, Mom," Emily whispered, placing a gentle kiss on her mother's forehead. Anne stirred, her eyes fluttering open. A weak smile spread across her face as she saw her daughter. "How was work today, sweetheart?" Anne's voice was thin, but it carried the warmth and love that had always been Emily's anchor. Emily sat down on the edge of the bed, taking her mother's hand in hers. It was different. Something amazing happened. She hesitated, searching for the right words. She pulled out the note and the stack of bills, showing them to Anne. Anne's eyes widened in surprise and disbelief. "Oh, Emily, this is incredible, but who—" "I don't know," Emily admitted, a mix of wonder and gratitude in her voice. "But whoever it was, they changed everything for us today." Tears welled up in Anne's eyes as she squeezed Emily's hand. "Kindness like this, it's rare. You must have touched their heart, just as you touch mine every day." The weight of her responsibility seemed to lighten ever so slightly as Emily sat there, feeling her mother's love and the unexpected kindness that had come her way. The worries that had clouded her thoughts, Late rent, medical bills, the dream of returning to school began to clear, replaced by a glimmer of hope. As the evening shadows lengthened, Emily made a silent vow to pay it forward. The generosity of a stranger had shown her that kindness could change lives, and she resolved to be a beacon of hope for others, just as someone had been for her. The unexpected act had not only provided financial relief but had also rekindled her faith in the goodness of people, offering a much-needed reminder that even in the darkest times, light can find its way through. The next morning, Emily awoke with a renewed sense of purpose. The generous tip still lingered in her thoughts as she prepared breakfast for her mother. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story than just a random act of kindness. As she kissed her mother goodbye and headed to the diner, the curiosity gnawed at her. Who was behind the note, and why had they chosen her? At the diner, the usual morning rush was in full swing, but Emily's mind was elsewhere. She couldn't help but glance around, scanning the faces of the customers in the hope of spotting her mysterious benefactor. The regulars greeted her with their usual smiles, but none of them seemed to be the one she was looking for. During a brief lull, Emily confided in her coworker, Lisa, about the unexpected tip and the note. Lisa listened intently, her eyes widening in surprise. "That's amazing, Emily. Maybe it's someone who really appreciates your hard work." Emily nodded, but the curiosity was relentless. "I just wish I knew who it was. It feels like they wanted to stay anonymous, but I can't help wondering." The day dragged on, and as the afternoon sun streamed through the windows, Emily noticed a new face among the diners. A large man in a hoodie, the same one she had seen the previous day. His presence felt significant, though she couldn't quite explain why. As she approached his table to take his order, he offered her a warm smile. "Back again?" she asked, trying to keep her tone casual. "Yeah, I really enjoyed the breakfast yesterday," he replied, his voice resonating with familiarity. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she had heard that voice before. She took his order and hurried to the kitchen, her mind racing with possibilities. Could he be the one who left the note? She decided to watch him more closely, hoping for a clue. Throughout the day, Emily observed the man in the hoodie. He remained quiet, occasionally glancing around the diner with a thoughtful expression. As he finished his meal and prepared to leave, Emily noticed him discreetly place a generous tip on the table, along with a small note. Her heart pounded as she approached the table, picking up the tip and unfolding the note. The words, written in neat, careful handwriting, sent a shiver down her spine. "Keep believing in kindness." It's everywhere. Emily's eyes filled with tears once again, overwhelmed by the stranger's continued generosity. She looked up, hoping to catch a glimpse of him before he left, but he had already slipped out the door. The mystery deepened, and Emily couldn't help but feel a growing connection to the anonymous benefactor. Their acts of kindness had not only eased her financial burden, but had also reignited her faith in the goodness of people. As she cleared the table, Emily made a silent vow to keep the spirit of kindness alive in her heart, no matter what challenges lay ahead. A few days later, Emily was back at the diner, her mind still reeling from the mysterious notes and generous tips. The morning rush had died down, leaving a quiet hum of conversation and the clinking of dishes. She couldn't stop herself from glancing at the door each time it swung open, hoping to see the large man in the hoodie again. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw him enter. He moved with the same unassuming grace, his hoodie pulled low over his face. Emily's curiosity had grown into something stronger, a need to understand this man who had shown her such kindness. As he settled into his usual corner booth, she decided it was time to learn more. "Good morning," she greeted him warmly, a genuine smile on her lips as she approached his table. "It's nice to see you again." "Good morning," he replied, his voice as friendly as before. There was something in his tone that made Emily feel at ease, like she was talking to an old friend. As she took his order, Emily couldn't help but notice how he watched the other diners, his eyes soft with compassion. It was clear he was someone who cared deeply about others. When she brought his breakfast to the table, she decided to take a chance. "Can I ask you something?" she began, her voice hesitant. He looked up, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "Sure, go ahead. Are you the one who left those tips and notes for me?" Emily's heart pounded as she waited for his response. For a moment he was silent, his expression thoughtful. Then, with a gentle smile, he nodded. "Yes, I am. I've been watching how hard you work and how kind you are to everyone here. I wanted to do something to help." Emily's breath caught in her throat, tears welling up in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "You have no idea how much it means to me." He reached across the table, placing a hand on hers. "Kindness is something we all need more of in this world. It can make a difference, even in the smallest ways." As they spoke, Emily felt a deep connection forming, an understanding that went beyond words. This man, who had remained anonymous, had touched her life in a way she would never forget. She realized that his acts of kindness were not just about the money. They were about the message behind them, the reminder that there was still good in the world. When he finished his meal and prepared to leave, Emily found herself wanting to know more. "Will you come back again?" she asked, her voice hopeful. He smiled, a warmth in his eyes that made her heart swell. "I think I will. It's nice to find a place where kindness is appreciated." As he walked out the door, Emily felt a newfound sense of purpose. The kindness of a stranger had not only eased her burdens, but had also inspired her to be a beacon of hope for others. She knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would carry the spirit of kindness with her, a light in the darkness that would guide her way. A week passed, and Emily couldn't stop thinking about the kind man in the hoodie. The diner felt different now, each day infused with a sense of anticipation and curiosity. She found herself glancing at the door more often, hoping to see his familiar silhouette. One late afternoon, just as she was starting to lose hope, he walked in. Emily's heart leapt as he took his usual seat in the corner booth. She approached him with a warm smile, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Welcome back," she said, her voice tinged with gratitude. "Thank you," he replied, his eyes crinkling at the corners in a friendly smile. As she took his order, she noticed how the other diners seemed to recognize him too, their curious glances making her wonder who he really was. The question lingered in her mind, but she hesitated to ask, not wanting to pry. Later, as the diner quieted down, Emily noticed a young mother struggling to pay for her meal. Her face was etched with worry, her toddler tugging at her sleeve. The man in the hoodie watched the scene unfold, his expression thoughtful. Without a word, he stood up, walked over to the counter and discreetly handed the cashier enough money to cover the woman's bill. Emily watched in awe as the young mother's face transformed from worry to relief, tears streaming down her cheeks as she thanked him. The man returned to his seat, his actions unnoticed by most of the diners. Emily felt a surge of admiration and curiosity, unable to contain herself any longer. She approached his table, her heart pounding. "That was incredibly kind of you," she said softly, her voice filled with genuine respect. "Why do you do it?" He looked up at her, his eyes filled with a depth that took her by surprise. "Because kindness has the power to change lives. Sometimes people just need a little help to keep going." Emily nodded, feeling a profound connection to his words. "You've changed my life too, you know." He smiled, a warmth radiating from him that made her feel at ease. "I'm glad to hear that. Just remember, kindness is a ripple. What you do for others will come back to you in ways you can't even imagine." As he finished his meal, Emily felt a strong urge to know more about him. "Do you ever think about the people you help?" "Every day," he replied, his voice soft. "But it's not about recognition. It's about making a difference, even if it's just for one person." Before he left, Emily mustered the courage to ask the question that had been burning in her mind. "Who are you?" He paused, looking at her with a gentle smile. "Just someone who believes in the power of kindness." With that, he walked out of the diner, leaving Emily standing there with a heart full of gratitude and a newfound determination to carry the torch of kindness. His actions had not only eased her burdens but had also inspired her to be a light for others. Emily knew that, no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would always remember the man who showed her the true meaning of compassion. A few days after their last encounter, Emily found herself thinking about the man in the hoodie more and more. His words echoed in her mind, inspiring her to look for ways to spread kindness in her daily life. She decided to pay closer attention to the people around her, hoping to make a difference, even in small ways. One evening, as the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in hues of pink and orange, Emily finished her shift at the diner. She stepped outside, the cool breeze a welcome relief after a long day. To her surprise, she saw the familiar figure of the man in the hoodie leaning against a lamppost, waiting for her. "Hey," she called out, her heart fluttering with excitement and curiosity. He turned and smiled, his eyes twinkling with warmth. "Hey, Emily, I thought I'd catch you before you left." She approached him, her emotions a whirlwind of gratitude and admiration. "I wanted to thank you again for everything you've done. Your kindness has meant the world to me." He shrugged modestly. "I'm just glad I could help. You've got a good heart, Emily. It's people like you who make the world a better place." They began to walk down the quiet street, the fading light casting long shadows on the pavement. As they strolled, Emily found herself opening up to him, sharing her dreams of going back to school and the struggles she faced while caring for her mother. He listened intently, his presence a comforting balm to her worries. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "I wasn't always in a position to help others. There was a time when I needed help myself, but someone showed me kindness and it changed my life. That's why I try to do the same for others." Emily looked at him, her eyes filled with admiration. It's amazing how one act of kindness can have such a ripple effect. He nodded, a gentle smile playing on his lips. "It really can, and it's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, no matter how small it may seem." As they reached the end of the street, Emily felt a sense of connection she had never experienced before. This man, who had started as a mystery, had become a source of inspiration and hope. She knew that his acts of kindness had not only transformed her life, but had also reignited her faith in humanity. Before they parted ways, he turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Emily, never forget the impact you can have on others. Your kindness and resilience are a beacon of light, even in the darkest times." Tears welled up in her eyes as she smiled at him. "Thank you. I'll never forget what you've done for me." With a final nod, he walked away, leaving Emily standing there with a heart full of gratitude and determination. She knew that, no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would carry the spirit of kindness with her, spreading it to those around her just as he had done. His words and actions had become a guiding light, illuminating her path and inspiring her to believe in the power of compassion. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the sleepy town. Emily walked home with a lighter heart, her thoughts filled with the conversations she'd shared with the man in the hoodie. His words had sparked a fire within her, a determination to spread kindness wherever she went. The next day at the diner, Emily noticed a subtle shift in the atmosphere. There was a newfound sense of warmth and camaraderie among the patrons. She watched as a regular customer, an elderly gentleman named Mr. Thompson, struggled to pay for his meal. Without hesitation, a young woman at the next table quietly covered his bill, offering him a kind smile. The look of gratitude on Mr. Thompson's face was enough to bring tears to Emily's eyes. Inspired by the acts of kindness she had witnessed, Emily decided to share her story with her coworkers and regular customers. She gathered them around during a quiet moment and recounted the incredible generosity of the man in the hoodie. As she spoke, she saw their eyes light up with inspiration, and she knew that the spirit of kindness was taking root in their hearts. One by one, the acts of kindness began to spread. Lisa, her coworker, started a small fund to help struggling families pay for their meals. The regulars chipped in, eager to contribute to the cause. The diner became a hub of goodwill, a place where people came not just for a meal, but for a sense of community and support. Emily couldn't help but marvel at the ripple effect that one person's kindness had created. She saw firsthand how each act, no matter how small, could change someone's day, or even their life. The young mother she had seen struggling with her bill returned to the diner. Her eyes filled with hope as she shared how the unexpected help had allowed her to buy groceries for the week. As the days turned into weeks, the diner's reputation for kindness spread throughout the town. People came from all around, drawn by the stories of compassion and generosity that filled the air. Emily's heart swelled with pride as she watched the community come together, each person playing a part in creating a better world. One evening, as Emily was closing up the diner, she received a call that left her speechless. A local charity had heard about the diner's acts of kindness and wanted to award her a scholarship to go back to school. Tears streamed down her face as she realized that her dream was finally within reach. The next day, Emily shared the incredible news with her coworkers and regular customers. The diner erupted in cheers and applause, the joy and love in the room palpable. As she looked around at the faces of the people who had become her family, Emily felt a profound sense of gratitude. The kindness of a stranger had set off a chain reaction that had changed her life and the lives of so many others. Emily knew that, no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would carry the spirit of kindness with her, spreading it wherever she went. The lessons she had learned from the man in the hoodie would forever be a guiding light, reminding her of the power of compassion and the incredible impact one person could have. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of excitement and gratitude for Emily. The scholarship news had spread like wildfire, bringing even more attention to the diner and its story of kindness. Journalists and reporters flocked to the small establishment, eager to capture the heartwarming tale and share it with the world. The attention felt overwhelming at times, but Emily embraced it, knowing that the story's message could inspire others far beyond their small town. One evening, as she closed up the diner, Emily found herself reflecting on the incredible journey that had brought her to this moment. The memories of her encounters with the mysterious man in the hoodie played in her mind like a cherished movie reel. She knew that his acts of kindness had set off a chain reaction that had changed her life and the lives of so many others. As she stepped outside, the cool night air filled her lungs, and she looked up at the starry sky, feeling a sense of peace and fulfillment. Just then, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Emily," the man called out, his silhouette illuminated by the dim streetlights. She turned, her heart swelling with joy and gratitude. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said, her voice filled with warmth. He walked over, his presence as comforting as ever. "I couldn't leave without saying goodbye," he replied, his eyes reflecting the sincerity in his words. "I'm moving on to another town, but I wanted to make sure you were doing well before I left." Emily felt a pang of sadness, but also immense gratitude. "You've changed my life in ways I can't even begin to express. Thank you for everything." He smiled, a look of pride in his eyes. "It wasn't just me, Emily. Your own kindness and resilience are what made the real difference. Always remember that." As they stood there, sharing a moment of understanding, Emily realized that his presence had not only brought her hope, but it also inspired her to be a force for good in the world. She knew that no matter where life took her, she would carry his lessons with her, spreading kindness and compassion wherever she went. Before he left, he handed her a small envelope. "Open it when you're ready," he said with a wink. With tears in her eyes, Emily watched him walk away, knowing that his impact on her life would be everlasting. She took a deep breath and opened the envelope, finding a simple note inside. It read, "Keep the flame of kindness burning bright. The world needs more hearts like yours." Emily's heart swelled with emotion as she clutched the note to her chest. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With the support of her community and the inspiration of the man in the hoodie, she knew that she could make a difference. The diner continued to thrive, becoming a beacon of kindness and hope for all who entered. And as Emily pursued her dreams, she never forgot the man who had shown her the true power of compassion. His legacy lived on in every act of kindness she performed, a testament to the incredible impact that one person could have on the world. As the years passed, Emily's story of kindness spread far and wide, inspiring countless others to believe in the power of compassion. She knew that the man in the hoodie had been right all along. Kindness truly was a ripple, capable of creating waves of change that reached far beyond what she could have ever imagined. And that's the story of how kindness can truly change lives. If you found Emily's journey as inspiring as we did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We share heartwarming stories, insightful tips, and uplifting content that you won't want to miss. What act of kindness has had the most impact on your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, spreading kindness is a ripple effect. Let's create waves together. Stay inspired, stay kind, and most importantly, be the change you wish to see.